South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Looking to bet smarter? Get sports betting insight and winning picks straight from the South Point Hotel and Casino.
The favorite should be 220-ish, and here, you could lay $1.65.
So getting a plus 315 price here for this one to go to overtime. I like it.
Their strength is their defense. I like the under.
Join Sports by the Book Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific and bet your winning edge.
Get ready for the most massive madness party in Las Vegas. Join us March 19th through the 21st right here at the South Point Hotel and Casino. It's 3 straight days of massive video screens, massive food and drink specials, massive access to betting windows and kiosks. The only thing that's not massive is the price. Free parking and entry as always. Tip-off to the madness starts right here at South Point Hotel and Casino, March 19th through the 21st.
Here we go. Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Selection Sunday. Really looking forward to this show. Thanks for joining us. This is Sports by the Book. The field is officially set. 2026 NCAA tournament, the field of 68, and myself and a few others were upstairs making opening lines here at the South Point. We're going to bring in those others now. I'm Alex White. Again, thank you for joining us here with the VP of Gone Gaming and also a part of the SBC Hall of Fame, Vinny Maiulo.
Alex, good to be with you. Good job upstairs. You were firing off those numbers too.
I appreciate it. Third time getting to do this exercise. I love it. And there is our producer, of course, behind the scenes, Ryan McCormick, who they've been working very hard down here while we were working hard up there to get all the graphics and everything ready to be able to do this show. Because we want to give people a little look into what we were doing, the opening lines and everything.
Speaking of look, we get a look into who Ryan's going to bet with his North Carolina tie. Attaboy. Very nice. Nice touch.
I know it's a football helmet. There's a basketball right there, but yeah, go Heels. 6 seed to win the national title.
There you go, buddy.
We'll see how it goes.
3 of us right now on screen, and we're going to bring in somebody else too. We won't even take a break because it's 5 p.m. We've known this bracket for 2 hours now. You've had lines for an hour at least. It's about 4 p.m. at least sides for all of these matchups. So now we'll bring in Sportsbook Director, also part of the SBC Hall of Fame, Sports Betting Hall of Fame, Chris Andrews, now joining us. We love this Selection Sunday. We love the Selection Sunday show as well. Overall, you guys, what do you think? How did it go up there?
I think it went fantastic. I was very happy with it. I think I got everybody's numbers, among us. And, we had some differences, and we'll go over those. And we've gotten play already. We've gotten two-way play on a couple of the games. So nothing really ran, so we weren't, way off on anything. We didn't put up any wrong favorites or anything like that. So I'm extremely happy with everything. And I talked to Bill Krakenberger, and I think Crack would be more than happy to acknowledge this. He said, we were first. We were first in taking action. soon as numbers hit the board, So I'm very proud of what we did. Yeah.
It was a great time, Alex. Actually, obviously the three of us, along with Tony Sinisi, longtime Las Vegas.
We couldn't get Tony to
maker,
come down,
and Tony said he was hungry. It was time to eat, and but Tony also worked with your dad for a long time at Las Vegas Sports Consultants, making numbers. So it's a great exercise. It's something that we enjoy every year. Of course, you bring a fresh approach to it, and something that we very much appreciate. But the good thing is that we put the numbers up. They're the first numbers to go up. Chrissy authorizes $10,000 a bet if somebody so chooses to do so. And the folks, let's remember this, that the folks that are betting today, right now, that these first numbers, they're professionals. These are
wise guys,
very seasoned bettors who are making their numbers as well and comparing to what we did. So it's a great exercise. It's actually, for me personally, one of my favorite days of the year to do this and share information and get the numbers up and out and have respected opinions play into them.
It is a lot of fun. It's kind of like a tradition, and I can see you guys have been doing it a very long time, but you're just waiting for all the conference tournament championship games to finish. The last is the Big Ten, right? And then they start the show, and it's very quick. They give you the matchups. You got to be ready to go. Kind of region by region is what it seems like we have done, and I don't know if you guys have always done it that way. But yeah, any differences nowadays than the past, or?
No, I think the way it's presented, you just have to be on your toes. I mean, I think there's an element of anticipation in terms of which teams. I mean, obviously, the automatic bids. You're just, and at this point too, and I think Chrissy will agree. Like we had a pretty good idea of the at-larges too, and now
helps.
Even Tony did a great job. He actually predicted the play-in matchups. So. You can narrow it down pretty well and get a pretty good feel for what's happening. But there's always a few surprises, so you have to be prepared for what the committee is going to throw at you.
I think we kind of do it the same all the time. As soon as we have to react.
Yeah.
They act, we react. So we have to react to what they do, and then, unfortunately, there's some other things in this business. We have to wait for Dawn Best to populate the screen, put the numbers. But, like I said, I'm very proud of what we did and very happy with what we did. And, I'm with you guys. This is one of my favorite days of the year, one of my favorite exercises of the year, putting this together. And this next week is one of my favorite weeks of the year. Mm-hmm. So, some guys compare it to the Super Bowl. I like this a lot better than the Super Bowl because, Super Bowl, it's one game, and I've been on the losing end of some games. I've been on the losing end of some of these games. God knows the 1 year, we needed like every underdog. And I think how many games is there that first round? Like, what is it, 32? Well, plus the play-ins.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was like 24 favorites that won and covered. And so that wasn't very good. But it's still fun to get there, and the excitement that it creates in this joint for 4 days is just fantastic. So I love this time of year, and I love making these numbers. I love sitting there with you guys, and it's just a good mental exercise for us, and a lot of mental stimulation, and hopefully some things will fall our way, and the players are going to win their share of games, and nobody cries for the bookmaker. Hopefully at the end we can hold a little percentage of a very big handle. That's what we're hoping for.
And, Alex, we talk about the Super Bowl obviously being the single most wagered event, but, and this year in Nevada, in excess of $130 million on the Super Bowl alone. But this, for 2.5 weeks, sustained action, you're talking well over $300 million but wagered just in Nevada.
Right.
And so, when you think about this, so we'll go back upstairs now and we'll start, we put the numbers in, and you start putting in the totals, and you start putting in the money lines, and then the first halves, of course, then the props, we have to put up the full future pool, who's going to win it, the regions, and then proposition bets by, which conference and things like that. So the betting menu has expanded. And just one other thing too, a lot of times we get asked, what about this or who didn't get in? Again, just like we say when it comes to the football playoff, we really don't care. Just give us the matchups and
we'll go from
we'll
there.
make the numbers. That's the exercise. So, are there teams that feel they should have gotten in or should have had a different seed or whatever the case? Okay, well that's part of it too.
I do have one more question, and then let's get to it. Let's go. We'll start with the play-in games and kind of go over the lines that each of us made, and then what Chris decided to put out there. And that's kind of the question, Chris, because there were some that were 3-point off and maybe even 6 between all of us. How does it work for you? You want the best number where you are going to get two-way action, right? And you're kind of thinking of it that way, not just a raw power rating.
Right. Obviously, I've been doing this a long time. So, a certain amount of feel goes into it. And like I said, I have a ton of respect for your numbers, you, Alex, Vinny, and Tony, more than I have for my own. However, I'm the one that has to put it out. And I made this comparison before. I'm like Martin Scorsese. I'm the director.
Marty.
I got Robert De Niro sitting right over here.
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm getting kind of a Rene Russo vibe from you. Can you see that? Can you see Rene Russo?
I can see this.
Okay.
I could see this. We could roll them.
I don't know where we put
script.
Tony. I don't know. I had to put him in a Scorsese movie. I don't know where we put Tony. We don't want to give him Joe Pesci because he didn't make the last one. So he didn't make it out of the last one. But you know what I'm saying? So I mean, you guys do your thing better than me, but I'm the one that has to put it together. So a lot of it does have to go by feel, and mostly, I went with your numbers, tried to be in the middle. Sometimes I had like a little hunch that they might be betting this side or the other one. I might have strayed a little bit, but and I'm going to be wrong on some and right on some others. But mostly I respect your numbers, the three of you, more than I respect my own personal numbers.
Well, you've already gotten some action, so let's go through these. I'd love to hear if you mark down which games. I know that there has been some action already against the darlings here, Miami, Ohio, who does have to play in a play-in game. That'll be on Wednesday, and people are kind of fading them, taking the other side. But starting off with the games on Tuesday, the 16 seed matchup, Howard, and then
UMBC.
UMBC. That'll be the first one there, and then NC State and Texas. So, Vinny, if you have the numbers that we all made and then where we're kind of sitting right now.
What's interesting is, and to Chris's point, and by the way, he's being very modest because he makes his numbers too, and he's got to be the captain to say, look, the quarterback to say, okay, this is the information, these are the opinions, but he's got to make it, and he does a great job of doing it and anticipating, which is very important. So, the interesting thing about this number, which, by the way, if the four of us are making numbers on all of these games, and everybody has the exact same number, that would be a concern. we want.
Well, that's the first game out of the blocks,
right? So, but this one, we actually did come up with the same number. This was I think the only one or two games.
I think it's the only one.
Every one of us had the exact same number on this game, 1, and of course, Chris went with the opener of 1. But the reason I bring up that point is that it's because sometimes you have, and you heard me say there was one game in particular where I went back and double checked my math. Maybe I missed something, and maybe I, didn't calculate. So you have to be open-minded in this exercise because it's a great exercise, and maybe there's an injury that one of us missed or something and things. So, but in this one, everybody was unanimous on UMBC as a 1-point favorite, and Chris opened at 1. And
got a little bit of play on the on the favorite UMBC. Quick story: I was with when they beat Virginia a couple years back. Yeah. I was at the dinner with my uncle, with I say my wife's uncle, big fan. We're just. This point, Score Phone has the wrong favorite. They have the wrong score, because UMBC was beating them like the whole time. And then I called at halftime. I said, what's the score of this game? I had to tell him. I said, Virginia's getting beat. Yeah. They're going to lose this game, So anyway, that's my memory of UMBC. But we all had one.
Yeah.
And by the way, Vinny, I checked. It's the only game where everybody had the same number.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
And but they bet us on UMBC. I think we're at 2 right now, so we did get bet a little bit on them.
Okay.
Nothing on the. I'm jumping ahead. Go ahead.
Well, the funny thing is, though, even though that was the one that we were all similar, that's not the first game that we were handicapping, because that kind of came farther down the board. But 2018, of course, that is their last auto bid in the tournament. So
first time is 16 beat a 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the history of the tournament. Yeah.
So it should be a good one there. But go right ahead. Yeah, I was bringing up the 11 seed play-in as well. Is that what you were talking about? NC State and Texas?
Yeah, that was one. And again, I'll just go through these numbers. I think it's a good exercise for our listeners to see who did what. Tony made the game pick 'em. By the way, I wanted Tony to come down there because he worked with your dad. Great old, he undersells himself, but he's a terrific handicapper, awesome. And his numbers were as good as anybody's.
Absolutely.
Tony made the game 1. Vinny made the game Texas 2, and you made it pick. Again, just a hunch. I wound up going with a pick 'em with the two of you guys, and so. And when I left the sportsbook 15 minutes ago, we hadn't had any movement on that game.
Of course, both of those two kind of, I don't know, going in the wrong direction at the end of the year here. So I can understand why they're both in a play-in.
Yeah. I didn't really identify anybody that has a real beef that they didn't make. I'm sure that'll come out in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
But these two were certainly borderline.
Yes.
Yeah. They some teams played their way into the tournament. Some teams played their way onto the bubble, and some teams played their way out of the tournament.
Yes.
Let's face it, right?
Yeah, and the last couple of weeks, the bubble teams, definitely have been playing their way out. Let's go ahead to Wednesday's games with Lehigh and Prairie View, and then SMU and Miami, Ohio. Again, a 16 seed play-in and an 11 seed play-in.
Well, again, I'm looking at the numbers. Tony made the game pick. Vinny made the game. Lehigh won. You made the game. You, Alex, made the game 2. I went right in the middle. Wound up opening Lehigh 1. We did get bet on Lehigh, so I think we're at 2 on that game. I'm not positive, but we are up on that game a little bit.
Yeah.
Little movement in that one. And then what about SMU? And then, like I said, Miami, Ohio.
This is the game of the day so far.
Yeah.
And remember, I talked beforehand. I said, these Tuesday, Wednesday games, we got so much action on those. And kind of you look at them, man, they don't look like very good games. Well, we got a ton of action. And this is the one where we've had two-way movement. Tony made the game 7. Vinny 8. Alex 8.5. I wound up opening 8. Kind of went in the middle, all you guys. They took 8. Then we're all over the place on this game. Ryan, what do we have that game right now? We back to 8 with that one?
8.5.
We're at 8.5, so we're a little bit high on the favorite, but we just we've had two-way action on that game. That's our best game so far. We've had a ton of business both ways.
Two-way action.
Maybe it's one of the first games out of the gate, but there's a lot of opinions on Miami, Ohio.
Yes, there is.
Not so many on SMU. There will be now just because they're playing Miami, Ohio. But that's been the game of the afternoon so far as action goes.
And all 4 of these, by the way, are in Dayton, Ohio. Yeah. So a bus ride for Miami.
I know. I kind of think so. I kind of like Miami in that game a little bit. And I kind of questioned you guys when you made your number, but I went with you.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I respect your numbers better than I respect my own. But I'm wondering if Miami's going to get a little home cooking, not home cooking from the refs, but from the fans.
Oh yeah, sure. Oh. Good representation.
We'll find out how they do, right? We don't really know how they bounce back from a loss yet because they just suffered their first loss to UMass in the conference tournament. So we'll see. I'm sure they will be highly motivated now that they didn't get an official seat and now have to do this play-in game. Ryan, were you guys watching back here and kind of watching the board light up and seeing these games move?
Yeah, we were having a good time during the selection show and making sure we get everything right and the graphics and everything. And then, seeing the kind of the rainbow populate with the red, yellow, and green of what the odds would be on the odds board. So it's been like a lot of fun to kind of watch these things move so suddenly with the games just being announced. It's been a lot of fun to keep track of those. I did have a couple notes for those conference champions, the 16 seeds that we're going to have. So UMBC Chris, you mentioned that they were the first team. Then you also mentioned they were the first team on the men's side to defeat as a 16 to defeat a number 1 overall seed. And that is their only March Madness NCAA tournament win
Is that
in
right?
history. So they are 1-2. That was their last appearance in the tournament was 2018, and that was their only win. On the other side, Howard is 0-4 in their NCAA tournament appearances. So they'll be looking for their first win. UMBC looking for their second. They'll have to go against each other here. So in the first 4. On the second side, or on the second 16, the Prairie View A&M and the Lehigh game. Prairie View A&M, the last appearance was in 2019. They are 0-2 all-time in the NCAA tournament. They were a 16 seed both times. Lost in the first 4 to Fairleigh Dickinson. Not the year that Fairleigh Dickinson also pulled off the 16-1 upset. That was a couple years before then. But then on the Lehigh side, Lehigh's last appearance was in 2012, and that was their only March Madness win was the upset against Duke. So Lehigh 1-5 all time here in the NCAA tournament.
Very good. And I imagine it's going to be pretty common for some of these smaller schools to have no wins in the tournament, but there are a few. So I am excited to go through them as we go through each of the matchups. But Lehigh is one that also has a win. So let's go ahead and go to our Thursday slate here, and I'm just going to go rotation number. So if you have a bracket and you are following along, we'll try and get you as much information as we can. So the first one, 709, 710, South Florida and Louisville. It is in the East region, as well as the next one, 711 and 712, North Dakota State and Michigan State. And looking at those, that's the 6 and 11 matchup and the 3 and 14. So do one of you want to run through those numbers of what we made it and then where we sit right now?
Yeah, I think Louisville, Tony was 6.5. You, Alex, had 6. I had it higher. I had 8 on this game. Chris went just about right in the middle at 7. And I'm sure.
We got played on the dog. We're down to 5.5 on that game.
A lot of money for South Florida. Yeah. Their win today, and pretty impressive. So,
well, I said to you guys too. Louisville's kind of my team. Is a sleeper. What are they? A 6, Vinny? They a 6 seed.
6 seed,
yeah. I mean, so I don't know. Sometimes I think the seeding can be overrated. I really do, because, like I said, when you're a 1 and you win that first game, which is probably going to happen, you're playing that 8-9 winner. That's a tough game. When you're a 2, you're playing the 7-10 winner. That's another tough game. Yeah. No matter who wins that game. So I think the seeding can be a little overrated. So sometimes you see a lower seed sneak through. If there's a lower seed, I think that can sneak through, it might be Louisville.
Ryan, anything for South Florida, who did just win the American today?
So South Florida's last NCAA tournament appearance was in 2012. They are 2-3 all time in the NCAA tournament. Both of those wins came in that 2012 tourney run. Was in the first 4, earning a 12 spot, and then they earned a 12-5 upset in round 1 against Temple there. So both of their NCAA tournament wins came in their last appearance back in 2012, 2-3 all time.
A couple of injuries for Louisville too. I think folks may be anticipating that if those players don't come back, then the points are worth it there. But if it's determined that they're going to play, and of course that game is Thursday, plenty some time to heal. Then I think that you'll see the public will come in on the favorite there.
North Dakota State, of course, the winner of the Summit. They are a 14 seed. Before we get to our numbers, Ryan, anything for them that you want to throw in? North Dakota State and Michigan State, and we'll get to our numbers and where we are right now too.
So I have North Dakota State as 2-4 in their NCAA tournament appearances. Their last appearance was back in 2019, which was also their most recent win, but that was also in a first 4 game against UNC Central. So that came in the round of 64, or excuse me. Yeah, no, that's what I was going with. 2-4 all time there for North Dakota State. Nothing on MSU.
I opened at 16. You, Alex, made it 16. Vinny made it 16.5. Tony made it 18, or was it 18.5? I can't read. Yeah, I can't read my own writing. We got played a little bit on Michigan State, so we're at 16.5 now. So not a big move, but a half-point move on the favorite.
It'll be very interesting to see because some of these schools, and Michigan State, kind of one of them, not really blowing teams out, but that is in their conference play. Now, up against a lesser opponent, we'll see.
That's why I opened at 16, even though you had it 16, but the other two guys had it a little bit higher. I think Izzo wins a lot of games. I mean, as a dog, man, you could bet him till the cows come home. I'm not so sure always all the time as a favorite, but we did get bet a little bit on them as a favorite, and just a half-point move, so nothing really spectacular.
Okay. Keeping it going here, we don't have the Michigan because they will play. Which one are they playing? They are playing the winner of Howard and UMBC, and then 715, 716, St. Louis and Georgia. Now, St. Louis was very good all year, but they did just lose in their conference tournament, but still made it in here from the A10, and then Georgia. So this would probably shock a lot of people with this matchup and just a 2-point spread.
Was another one. Tony made it 1. Vinny made it 3. Alex made it 2.5. I kind of went a little bit in the middle there. Opened Georgia 2. And we got two-way play already. And I believe we are back to the original number of 2. So they laid it. They took it. They laid it. So it's, there's another game where we got some pretty decent action. We got to have a few of them like that. And it's nice to have a little two-way. So right now I think the number's probably going to settle in at right around 2 or 2.5 right in there. And, looks like it's going to be a pretty good betting game. St. Louis had a pretty good year.
Yeah.
And even though they lost their last game, but they've had a pretty good year.
Very good from 3-point as well, and that's kind of the formula that a lot of people are looking for. Although they do play at a very quick pace, which kind of looking more for a methodical slow down, but also can hit those threes when you're looking for some upsets. But anything on this one from you, Ryan?
No, both at large bids. So just have just conference champion notes.
Okay, keeping it moving here with Siena and Duke. This is 717, 718 from the East region here. Vinny, how off or what were our differences in this one?
Not really. This is one of the higher numbers that we came up with too. So and not a real arduous travel for Duke. This game in Greenville, South Carolina.
What a surprise,
right? Them and that tie wearing team. Oh, I'm sorry. Right. We'll get to them, but Duke. Chris, you opened at 28. There were a couple of 28s. Alex and I. Tony liked it a little bit higher at 29.
And we're at 29 now.
There
we got bet on the favorite, and I see it 29.5. Matter of fact, we take our first break, I might call upstairs and say, let's go to 29.5 on this game. So I think it's just one of those games where, listen, I know they got a couple injuries. I mean, they're just unstoppable to me, and I'd hate to go into this game needing Siena. Let's just put it, and right now that's what I do need them.
Number 1 overall seed too, Duke.
Yes. Yes. So this, from the East region, but yes, the 1-16 matchup here. But Siena did win the Metro Atlantic. So anything on them from this conference winner, Ryan?
Yeah, last appearance back in 2010 for them. They are 4-6 all time with their last win in March Madness coming in 2009, so the year before their last tournament run. And that was against an 8-seed Ohio State team, who we'll get to next. But Siena was the 3-seed there in the Metro Atlantic, so they did pull off a little bit of an upset to get into this spot. So just to keep that in mind, that they were not their regular season winner in the MAC.
And then keeping it in the East region, 719, 720, TCU and Ohio State. Opening number was 3 there for the Buckeyes.
Yeah. So, Chris, we're probably right in the middle. And we were all right in the middle, really. Yeah. We kind of straddled this one, bracketed it, I should say. Ohio State, Tony made it 3, Alex, you made it 2, and I made it 4. So I could see, just kind of Chris settling in with the 3. And how did they play this one, Chris?
Another game with some two-way action, but a little bit more on the dog, and we're at 2.5 right now. That looks like it's, mostly the number is 2.5. And, I think we'll probably settle in right around there. I mean, but these are, the first hour or so of bets. Yeah. So, we'll do the bulk of our business on game day, whether it's Thursday or Friday. We'll do the bulk of it those days. So we'll see where we go with those.
That is one of those 8, 9 matchups that should be a really good one, and will not be easy for the next team that has to play the winner of that. All right, let's go to St. John's. And wait, is that next?
No.
Okay, keeping it in rotation. I'm going off of the order they gave us. Yes, let's go VCU and North Carolina. And you opened this one, Chris, UNC 2. And this is the South region.
I opened 2. This is another one, just kind of a feel. Tony made it pick. Alex, you made it 1.5. Vinny made it 2. I went with Vinny's number 2 because I just felt that the public would probably bet a North Carolina team. This has been pretty inconsistent throughout the year. So I think I kind of made the right move there because we're up to 3 with the game.
Wow.
So, we did get bet on the favorite. But I think I'm seeing numbers anywhere from 2 to 3 on this game. So, like I said, right now we're at 3. We got bet on the favorite. But I could see this game maybe coming back down to 2.5. But I think the public most certainly will be on North Carolina in this one.
VCU, pretty impressive win today. Of course, they didn't have to play St. Louis, so kind of got to avoid that, but ended up winning the A10, which we've seen this team before, definitely, Ryan, in the tournament.
Yeah, they were an 11 seed last year in the tournament, but their last win in the tournament came a decade ago in 2016 when they pulled off an 10-7 upset against Oregon State. They are 13-20 all time here in the tournament.
One of the things that this tournament brings out is it's probably the most social betting event of the year too, right, Chris? I mean, we get groups that consistently come every year. And there's a pretty good group of guys from North Carolina.
Yeah,
that
they're great
and represent. And I mean, it's everything Tar Heels in not only their attire, but obviously in their backing of the Heels. And so they'll be here. Of course, as we get further into the week, we'll talk about the everything going on here at the property with the event center being just a tremendous event for a couple of thousand people in that area alone. But the NCAA tournament's first week brings out groups, and they're kind of traditions, and they travel from all over the country. And now we're starting to get the next generation coming with their parents.
I know. I got 2 groups I put in reservations for. 2 groups of I think one's 8 guys, one's 6 guys. That. One is just newcomers. They went to, let's say, a different casino in the past, but they're coming here now. But one thing what I comment on, Vinny said, how social this is. I put out a tweet yesterday, and I kind of took pictures of the room before. I said, we're just awaiting, and I had a lot of responses. Yeah. A couple negative, not many, but it's Anyway, some guys, but it sounds terrible to sit there with 2,000 people to watch it. I said, man, and I don't answer. I don't get on Twitter fights. But I'm thinking, man, is he out to lunch? Whoever this guy is, that vibe in that room,
a lot of energy.
It's magic. It's fantastic.
Yes,
and half the room's on one side, half the room's on the other side, and boy, I'll tell you what, it's an experience. And if I was not living in Las Vegas or spent so many years in Reno, I would make sure I came to a place like this that first week of the tournament because there is nothing like it.
And there it is, the most massive madness party in Vegas that will be happening this week, March 19th through the 21st. So looking forward to that. But you're right. I mean, we've been there the last couple years. And we'll have a table with the sports betting crew too, and whoever can make it. But it's a ton of fun. I do think they planned it out perfectly where one game's finishing, another game's starting. And it's hard to really get that full experience.
Let me say one more thing. It's easy to knock the NCAA, and we all knock the NCAA. And let me tell you this. They run a hell of a basketball tournament. Yes. Of all the things they do wrong, that one they do right.
That game was a perfect example, too, that UNC and VCU of you kind of having a feel, Chris. I just wanted to mention that before we move to another one. But thinking about it, I understand that. If you would have opened 1.5, and then they would have kind of steamed you there. But good middle number. And now we are sitting at North Carolina 3. So we'll see if we get any buyback on VCU. But last one, rotation number 723-724 in this little section here. We've got Illinois, a very big favorite. And Ryan, that is because Penn, kind of a bid stealer here. And and they ended up winning the Ivy League. But University of Pennsylvania will be taking a shot at a very good Illinois team.
Yeah, Penn's last appearance in the March Madness tournament or NCAA tournament would be 2018. They're going for their first win, though, in over 30 years. Their last win was in 1994 against 6 seed Nebraska. So all-time Penn is 13-26 here in the tournament, and they've got a very tall task here with the Illini.
Ryan, check my memory. I mean, I'm talking about the 70s.
Okay.
I believe Penn made it to the Final Four, or at least the round of 8. I believe they did. By the way, let me comment on this game. We're all over the place on this one. Tony made the game 27. Alex, you made it 25. Vinny made it 23. I went with Vinny's number. There's another feel that I had. That's a big number.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, we got two-way play on this one, too, and we are back to the 23. So I went with Vinny's number with the 23 on that one.
Wow. So they came and took the points, and now somebody laid it back the other side.
Yep.
You're back at 23.
Yep.
Okay.
Two-way action. Two-way at the desk.
19,
And the counter.
Ryan?
1979.
79.
Oh, geez.
Penn made the Final Four. That was back when they also had a third-place game, which they also lost that one.
That's Michigan State and Indiana State.
That was the national
That's
title.
the Larry
Wow,
Bird
okay.
Magic Johnson
Title
game.
Okay. Well, my memory hasn't quite gone
There
yet,
you
so
go,
I
buddy.
remember that one.
Yeah.
What year were you born? Never mind. I know it wasn't 79.
No, but okay, keeping it going here. Let's go to the 5 and 12 matchup here. It is 525, 725, 726 rotation number. South Region 5 and 12 seed. Vinny, how did we do here with McNeese State and Vanderbilt?
Vandy, Chris opened at 12. I made the game 12, Alex. I could see where he went right in the middle because you had it 13 and Tony had it 11. So, again, a good matchup here. And Chris,
we got Ben on the dog. We're down to 11.
Yeah.
But then we probably need to go back up at least to 11 and a half on that one. You know,
So-
12 seems like a solid number.
And again, the exercise that we do is the same exercise that professionals are doing out there and making their numbers and comparing it and see. And then comparing. But the other thing was that they had nothing to compare to just yet because up now as we're further along here and a couple hours in, there's more numbers to look at out there. And that's not a critique. It's just a matter of how we do it here, and we love being the first ones with these.
And some people here ready to make some bets, hoping that their numbers are a little different than what Chris put out there. But back-to-back tournament appearances here for McNeese State, Ryan, after winning the Southland.
Yeah, they were a 12 seed last year, pulled off a 12-5 upset against Clemson. That was their lone NCAA tournament win. They're 1-5 all-time. McNeese is, or 1-4 all-time, excuse me. Did want to give a shout out though, if you paid attention earlier last week, Matt and Alex both gave you Vanderbilt and Arkansas to possibly win the SEC. Alex did get there with the Arkansas, but if you took Vanderbilt and Arkansas, you were sitting in a pretty nice spot in that SEC title game.
It helps when you have a team like Vandy. They helped knock off the big dog with Florida, right? And then Arkansas came and snuck. But thank you, Ryan. Yeah, 6-1 and 12-1. So.
Nice.
It's a good one there. Just want to mention about McNeese because Will Wade was the head coach that helped get that win last year over Clemson. He is now at NC State. So it is a first-year coach here with Bill Armstrong, but has done a very good job, and they're back again. But kind of just so you don't blindly bet thinking about last year. All right, 727, 728. Chris, where did we open up here for Troy and Nebraska? This is a 4-13 with Troy being a 13 seed.
Well, there's another one. You guys were all over the place here. Tony made it 12. Vinny made it 15. Alex, 14 and a half. I wound up going somewhat in the middle, I guess, with 14. We got bet on the dog. Not huge, but a little bet on the dog. So I wound up going down half a point. We're at 13 and a half on the game. And that looks like to be the consensus right now.
Good.
Anything here, Ryan, for the Sun Belt winner in Troy?
Yes. Troy is looking for their first ever NCAA tournament win. They are 0-3 all time. Last year, they were a 14 seed and did lose to Kentucky. I did want to make sure. I feel like I have this right, but both teams would be looking for their first tournament win. Nebraska doesn't have a tournament win, right? Am I remembering that
Nebraska's
incorrectly?
Well, I don't remember one.
Nebraska's been a bit of a surprise this year, I think, to a lot of folks, and done a great job, had a nice season.
Nebraska is 0-8 all time in the NCAA tournament. So both teams, whoever wins this game will have their first tournament
We
win.
all know that Nebraska's a basketball school, right?
Not yet.
All right, keeping it going here, staying in the South region with the 7 and 10 matchup. St. Mary's, Texas A&M does get in. They were one of those bubble teams. And rotation number, this is 729, 730. 2 was the opening number. And that is for the Gales, Vinny, of St. Mary's is the favorite.
Yeah, I was low on this game, although I do like St. Mary's because they're, and when we were talking, making the numbers, the prices, which one pay attention to or some particular statistics from the season for teams, right? Free throw shooting, rebounding, in particular, turnover margin and things like that. St. Mary's is the best free throw shooting team in the country. So I made the game 1. Alex, you had 1.5. Tony was higher at 3.5. So Chris used 2. I think there's going to be interest on both of these, Chris, as we get into the week. I'm not sure how they played it so far.
Well, being from northern Nevada, I spent a lot of time in Northern California as well, and always liked this St. Mary's program, like the school. Matter of fact, I even tried to talk my one daughter into maybe taking a look at St. Mary's. So I opened it a little higher. I opened it 2, and boy, I'm getting all kind of moves here. Anyway, we're at 2.5 right now. But another game with some pretty good two-way action. Yeah. But Vinny mentioned foul shooting and rebounding. And I just want to mention Pat Summitt, the legendary women's coach, who is among the greatest, forget male, female, is among the greatest coaches of all time. And she always felt that rebounding is going to win you championships. And, and foul shooting is big. And I would watch turnovers, too, especially if you're looking at a dog, team that maybe protects the ball fairly well. But Pat Summitt, I always loved her. Matter of fact, when Celtics were looking for a coach one time, Bob Ryan, who was one of the top NBA guys, he said, the Celtics should hire Pat Summitt. They had some disciplinary problems with him. She'll straighten everything out. And he was dead serious, and I have a feeling she would have.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. Tony was really good, too, about keeping us honest with down the stretch, and Texas A&M had lost 6 of their last 10.
Yeah, your dad was high on that team for a while, but I think he kind of soured on him a little bit, sounds like.
He did, too. Yeah, a buckyball, but we'll see. I think that is going to be a great game between those two, definitely. All right, let's go to Houston's game here, 731, 732, and Idaho, who ended up winning the Big Sky. Ryan, you want to start there? Do you have any notes here on Idaho?
So Idaho was the 7 seed in the Big Sky tournament. They were a bid stealer for this Big Sky for the Big Sky Conference Championship. It is their first appearance in the NCAA tournament since 1990. They will be looking for their first win in the tournament since 1982. They are 1-4 all time. That one win coming against a 6 seed Iowa back in 82.
1990. All right. What did Vinny? What did we each make this one?
Pretty close here. Alex, Tony, and I were at 23. You were a little higher, 25. And with obviously the Cougars favored. Chris went with 23 on the opener.
No moves.
It's right there.
Again, I mean, very good, talented team, but their style isn't really to blow teams out.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we'll see for that one. So I understand why you did go with a lower number between those two. All right, we've got 4 more before we go to our Friday sheets here and matchups. So let's go 733, 734, High Point and Wisconsin. Wisconsin, the Badgers, we opened at 10. Any differences and any movements on this one, Chris?
Yeah. Tony made it 9. Vinny made it 8. Alex, you made it 10. I went with your number, Alex, because I just think, Wisconsin, I don't know much about High Point. I know Wisconsin. I mean, they a little inconsistent, but they shoot some threes, and I think Tony even said, this isn't your father's Wisconsin team anymore, that they are used to winning 60-58. I mean, that this is a little different. So I actually went with your number, and they bet me Wisconsin. So I'm up to 10.5. Didn't get a flood on them, but we are up to 10.5 with this one. And I do see 10s in the market, 10 and 10.5. But I kind of like the higher number, Alex, that you came up with. So that's what I went with.
Last year, High Point was kind of like the darling, right, Ryan? Everybody had them circled as a team that could force an upset here, and maybe the same, but play very fast, are much better offensively than defensively. That's all I have. Second consecutive tournament game or tournament appearance for them, Ryan.
Yeah, second tournament appearance period for this High Point team. Their first appearance was last year. They obviously lost as the 13 seed to Purdue. So yeah, looking for their first tournament win, and they'll have to pull up a pretty nice upset here.
Next up, we got 7:35, 7:36, Hawaii and Arkansas. Let's go right to you, Ryan, with anything you have to fill us in on Hawaii and Arkansas with a nice little championship win as well.
So from the Big West, we've got Hawaii, the 2 seed in that tournament. Their last tournament appearance was 2016, where they got their only tournament win in program history. They are 1-5 all time. That one win was against Cal. And then we're looking at Arkansas, Alex's pick to win the SEC there. They were the 3 seed in the SEC tournament. They were in last year's tournament as well as a 10 seed. They are 52-36 all time here in the NCAA tournament. They lost in the Sweet 16 last year to 3 seed Texas Tech in overtime.
And last year was Calipari's first year coaching the Razorbacks, right? And now we're on his second here.
Mm-hmm. And he's done a great job. He had good off season and put together a nice club here. Interesting thing here is you want to pay a little bit of attention to travel too, right? So Hawaii here for the conference tournament, and also now this game is in Portland. I don't think they're going to head back to the islands between now and Thursday. I think that you'll be probably wise on the coaching staff to stay here on the mainland, right? But this game. And Chris obviously had a hunch here because we were much higher in our numbers, 17, 18, and 19, respectively, in terms of making a number on Arkansas against Hawaii here, and went with 16, Chris.
And another hunch, so far so good because we're down at 15.5 with the game, but of course we'll see when they actually tip off, and we might be winding up rooting for Hawaii. Wouldn't surprise me. But I thought that number was a little high from all you guys and opened a little bit lower. And they did bet me the dog in this one, but nothing major. We just moved half a point.
Yeah. And as we kind of just mentioned, I am a little high on Arkansas. So it makes sense why my number would be a little bit and the guys. But I do think that is a smart move to go a little bit lower there. BYU will wait to see the winner of that NC State and Texas game. So that is 737, 738. Then we have 739 and 740, Kennesaw State and Gonzaga. Gonzaga, a pretty big favorite, Chris, in this one. And I think it was one of the higher ones that we were all throwing out.
Yeah, I kind of went in the middle of all you guys. Tony made it 21. Vinny made it 19. You made it 18.5. And what with Vinny's number 19 was kind of in the middle. And so far, no moves on the game. And it looks like 19 is certainly the predominant number right now. So, look, I think that was a good number. We'll see what happens.
Ryan, anything for you for Conference USA champion Kennesaw State?
Kennesaw State was a bid stealer from CUSA. Liberty was the number 1 seed going into that conference tournament. Kennesaw State was the 6th seed. Kennesaw's last appearance was in 2023. They are 0-1 all time. They lost that meeting to a 3 seed Xavier back then. Note on Gonzaga, the WCC champion. They are now in their 27th consecutive NCAA tournament appearance. They have at least one win in 16 straight of those appearances, 47-27 all time. Last year, they were the 8th seed in this tournament.
All right. Let's go to some Friday matchups here. We'll start from the top, just like we did with our Thursday matchup. So starting in the Midwest, this is rotation number 741, 742, and this is Akron and Texas Tech. And, of course, Akron won the MAC, even though Miami, Ohio was on that undefeated run here. But Akron, very good team, kind of sneaky, But Vinny, we are all in agreement, Texas Tech about 8 here, but they're a tough team with, JT Topping being out and everything.
Yeah, still, they've had to be without Toppin now for probably about a month or so, Alex. I think, and here's the thing about the MAC, and I know there was a lot of talk about Miami O and things like that. You have to remember that it just, and credit these teams, but the schedule, the level of play, the strength of schedule really is going to show itself, I think, in when we get to these when you get to the NCAA tournament. Maybe not early in games. We'll talk about the 1st to 15 and how everybody loves to root for the dogs with the prices and stuff. But Texas Tech in one of the top strength of schedule conferences, right? The Big 12, the SEC, and the Big 10, the 3 predominant conferences this year. So Texas Tech here, we were, Chris opened at 8, Tony was at 6, I was at 8, and you were at 9, Alex. And I'm not sure if they played this one yet.
We got 2A action, but I don't think we ever moved the number.
Yeah.
So 8, Vinny's number looked pretty good here at 8.
This team, Ryan, and I'm sure you're going to say this, 4 of the last 5 years, they've had a conference appearance, 3 straight. John Grossi's been very good, and they are the best offensive team in the MAC. But to Vinny's point, if you like to use Ken Palm, he has the MAC 17th ranked conference. So
I can see that, but being from Western Pennsylvania originally, I always kind of rooted for these MAC teams because I knew a lot of kids, like from my area, high school kids, weren't good enough to play. Well, back in the day when Pitt was in the Big East and fighting for a number 1 seed every year, they weren't good enough to go to Pitt. But a lot of these kids were good enough, and maybe not even good enough to go to Ohio State, but they certainly, a lot of these kids went to MAC schools. So I always kind of rooted for the MAC. And I might be rooting for them against Texas Tech, too. Although right now we got 2A action without moving the numbers, so we'll see what happens.
Akron is looking for their first ever win in the NCAA tournament. They are 0-7 all time. Alex, you mentioned that they've been in 3 straight, meaning they've lost 3 straight NCAA tournament first games. They've been in 4 of the last 5 NCAA tournaments. So for the guys that have stayed on this roster, they are very, very hungry to finally get that first win for that program, having suffered losses in 4 of the last 5 years, their first game in the tournament.
I think Ryan might be showing some cards there. I think
just an
he
angle
lit up a little bit like that was a dog that he might have interest in.
That mobile app working.
That's okay.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. What about Hofstra, Ryan? 7-4-3, 7-4-4. Hofstra will be taking on Alabama, of course, the CAA champion. Go ahead. It's been a long time for this school.
2001 was their last appearance in the NCAA tournament. They are 0-4 all time. So this is another team looking for their first ever win here in the Big Dance.
Analytically, their numbers are pretty good. Chris and Speedy Claxton, their head coach, taking them back to the tournament. So good storylines, definitely. What are we looking at number-wise?
I got a text while we were we're at Alabama.
Alabama.
Okay, let me go. Tony made it 11. You two both made it 14. I wound up opening 13, kind of going a little bit in the middle of you guys. But we are at 13.5. We got a little bit of play on the favorite, not much. But I see 14s popping up. It's either 13.5 or 14 right now in the market. So, again, once we get off, I'm going to go upstairs and maybe try to connoiter the numbers a little bit. So I might be back to 14, going with your number to 14.
I hate when the matchups are. Alabama's a tough matchup. Even if I circled Hofstra, going into the week as they could be a dog that I'm looking at, and then it's just who they're playing, right? It makes it very tough.
Highest scoring team in the country. Pace. Love to push the pace.
Yes. All right, so Florida, we have to wait on that one. Of course, they are playing the winner of SMU, and no, they are playing the winner of Lehigh. And Prairie View. Thank you, Ryan. So next up, we got 7-4-7, 7-4-8, Iowa and Clemson in the South region. And I know we were all over the place. I remember 1 pick 'em, and we're sitting here at Iowa 2.
Open 1.5, and so money on the Hawkeyes early here.
Yeah, money on the favorite. Like I said, Tony made it 1, Vinny made it pick, Alex made it 3. Kind of went a little bit in the middle, and we did get bet on the favorite. We're at 2, and I think, let me check real quick here. Looks like 2 is the number right now. So, but I always, told guys, we're here to take bets, and so we open a number, and you want to lay 11 to 10, show me your opinion, and we'll go from there. So I love this kind of action.
Yes.
Those are not Christmas lights on the boards.
Nothing in that one, right, Ryan? Wait, that is an 8 and 9 seed matchup there. Okay, let's go to Central Florida and UCLA, 749, 750 East Region here. One of the earlier ones that we were handicapping. Vanny, where did we open? This is a 7 seed and a 10 seed.
Yeah, pretty close here, Alex, in our numbers. You were at 7.5. Tony was at 7. I was at right around 6, 6.5. And Chris went with UCLA as a 7-point favorite in this one.
And we got bet on the dog. We're at 6.5 with the number. And, you guys were all over the place. I see it all over the place in the market, too. A high of 6.5 and a low of 5.5. So, this might be one of those games where we wind up doing a lot of business. I think we will, because there seems like a lot of opinions on UCLA. And, Cronin is a guy I used to kind of root for a lot until, I don't know, sometimes kind of a big whiner now, and kind of soured a little bit on him.
They were playing some pretty good basketball, but we got to check injuries and make sure that they're going to be at full strength here.
Played their way
Make
in.
Sure.
I think one of their leading scorers is questionable, but they certainly played their way into the tournament.
Yes. All right, here we go. UConn ended up with a 2 seed, even though they did lose in their conference tournament championship game there. They will take on Furman, and one of our bigger favorites here, Vinny, which is really no surprise. We know that they are a different animal in the tournament.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, and when you think about it, they got a 2. I'm not saying they don't deserve a 2, but compared to the fact that when you consider the fact that St. John's beat them twice, I mean they pounded St. John's when they played them in Hartford a couple of weeks back. St. John's only lost in about the last month or so, but Connecticut. Open 19 here. We were at 18, Tony and I, Alex. You liked it a bit higher at 21, so Chris took that into consideration and opened it at 19.
Well, we're up to 21 right now, so we got bet pretty good on the favorite. Alex, I know you made it higher, and that's where we are right now. Yeah. But I thought 19 was good enough, But I don't know. You never know with Hurley. Is he going to run up the score? And
right.
Tony made a joke. What's the odds of Hurley getting a technical in this game? I don't know. Probably fairly decent. Maybe he'll calm down if they go to a big lead here. But anyway, we're up to 21 on this game with business, and I think a tip off. I'll probably be rooting for Furman in this one.
It's always tough. I mean, you're trying to predict a lot. I mean, is this going to be a bounce back where Hurley really gets his team up and ready to play? But Furman, Ryan, they have definitely made some appearances here in the tournament.
Yep, most recently in 2023, where they pulled off a 13-4 upset against Virginia. That was their second win in the NCAA tournament. They are a bid stealer, however, this year. They were the 6th seed in the Southern Conference tournament and are now the auto bid representative from that conference. So tough task to go against these Huskies team, which we also did have JR in our chat spotting ticker trivia and giving an answer of a UConn Husky on the women's side. So keep a lookout for that ticker trivia for anybody else that wants to submit a guess, although JR.
And then after that one, 7-5-3, 7-5-4, Tennessee waiting for the winner of that SMU Miami Ohio game. Mm-hmm. Keeping it going here though in the Midwest, Wright State and Virginia, 7-5-5, 7-5-6. And Virginia opened 18 in this one, Chris.
Yeah, Alex, you made the game 20. Vinny and Tony both made it 17. Kind of favored their number a little bit. I went to 18 with the game. We did get bet. We got some good two-way action on this game. I think Virginia, nice. Kind of it seems like they flew under the radar a little bit this year, and I don't think a lot of people were paying attention to that ACC as much as they had in the past. We opened at 18. We are up to 18.5, but I got two-way action on this game, but a little bit more on the favorite. So we were up to 18.5 on this one.
Great coaching job at Virginia this year, and team that they're very dangerous from the perimeter, and almost beat Duke. I know Duke was minus a couple of guys yesterday, but this Virginia team is good. Cavs are they're legit.
I think finally that game, people really got their eyes on them and said, okay, I think this team is legitimate. So we'll see how they do in the tournament. Let's go 7-5-7, 7-5-8, Missouri and Miami, Florida, a 7 seed versus a 10 seed. And this is in the West region. Miami, Florida, 2-point favorite. Vinny, in this one.
Yeah, I made it 2. Chris used 2. Tony had it higher at 4. Alex, you liked it at pick. So Chris went in the middle. I mean, Missouri, look, they played their way onto the bubble and they survived. Miami, frankly, played their way into the tournament, and particularly in the last few weeks. So I'm sure this. I think this game is. I don't know how did they bet it so far, Chris? Because I think they're gonna go with Miami in this game for the most
so far.
part.
A little bit on the dog. I'm half point down. I'm down to 1.5 with the game. But another one, pretty good two-way action. A little bit more on the dog. I have no opinion in the game, so I just kind of move with our business. So we're down to 1.5. But I see this game 1.5 and 2, so I think we'll probably settle in somewhere around there.
Toggle.
I do like this Miami team. So I probably wouldn't even bet it to go against my own number here.
I was going to say, you're the one that made it lowest to pick.
I know.
Okay.
I know. I was pretty.
That's all right.
Pretty surprised
You're
to see
entitled
those
to
two.
change your mind. That's all right.
But I like what that coach has done in his first year, and he does have he's coached under some good previous head coaches. So we'll see if he can make a little bit of a statement here in his own name. All right, let's keep it going. Purdue, this is the game, Vinny. This is 759, 760. And Tony was all over. He said, you can't make it high enough, right? We need Purdue to be a pretty big favorite here over Queens NC.
Queens, North Carolina, not
Yes.
Queens College. We were
Which confused the hell out of me, but hey,
it's their first year.
I'm not a geography major, Vinny.
You don't have to be, but no, you look at it, Queen. I thought the same thing. I'm like, I'm thinking it was a sitcom, and Kevin James.
Yeah, right.
But no, this team. Listen, first, I believe this is their first year at the D1 level, coming and getting into the conference, and they had a great, they had a good season and played their way into the tournament. Purdue obviously won the Big Ten tournament today, showed their depth in this Big Ten conference tournament.
Yes.
One of the bigger numbers. Tony had them 30. Alex, you and I made the game 25, and Chris used 26. I think initially, Chris, the money came in on the dog, right?
Yeah. Well, I think we were down at 23.5 at one point with this, and then here come the flood back the other way. So right now, I'm at 25. I'm at the market high. Even though we opened 26, I got a little more money on the favorite. This is one of those games. Listen, I've known Tony a long time, and I always tease him, Altoona Tony. I've known him for many years. When he has a strong opinion, it's often right. So you folks out there, Tony loves, not so much that he loves Purdue. He thinks Queens will get run off the court. And if you're betting team totals, you might want to bet Purdue over, because he said that they give it up in bunches.
Yeah, they're not a good defensive team at all.
Yeah, maybe they'll hit some threes along the way. And, it is a huge number. But they're going to give up some points. So I got to tell you, I'm going to do my best to go in with Tony, and I might even bet this one myself. Team total, I don't know if I'll lay 26 or whatever, but I'm going to probably bet that team total for Purdue to go over.
He was pretty
adamant.
animated about this game.
Yeah.
And he was talking about their schedule this year, and when I was looking again, they lost by 39 to Auburn, who did not make it into this tournament, right? And was on bubble, but that is when they were playing some of their best basketball during non-con. But so 39. And here we are, Purdue, who just beat Michigan.
Who's really playing well the last couple weeks.
Yes, they are.
Finally found their rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And that is Ryan shouted at me and Matt. Well, Ryan and Matt both had Purdue and Michigan for the championship today. So, but what do you think about Queens too, Ryan?
So, we'll go Queens first. So it is their first appearance in the NCAA tournament. So they will be looking to do a first and pull off a humongous upset here in this one. But for Purdue, Matt did have Purdue to win the Big Ten tournament. So they go from the 7 seed in that tournament to a 2 seed and number 8 overall seed here in the NCAA tournament. They are in their 6th consecutive NCAA tournament appearance. They've made 3 Sweet 16s in the last 5 tournaments, and they lost in the championship game to UConn in 2024 after losing as the number 4 overall, number 1 seed, the 2nd overall 1 seed to lose in the men's tournament there to Fairleigh Dickinson. But last year they were a 4 seed and managed to get to the Sweet 16. So Purdue looking to improve on last year and continue not lose another game here for the rest of the year.
What were they projected before going into the Big Ten? Because
seed-wise, you mean?
Yeah. That's pretty incredible to be a 2 seed now.
Yeah.
They weren't a 2, I can tell you that.
No.
I don't think they were that far. Maybe a 4.
I think it was right around there. But also to point out, UConn being a 2, Purdue being a 2, St. John's being a 5 is something that we were
I think Rick Pitino was as surprised about that when he saw that Connecticut was a 2 and that he got. I'm not saying he should have felt that should have been flipped, but again, not getting into the seeding or who got in or didn't. But if there was one that kind of surprised me, I thought that one was a bit surprising that there would be that much of a disparity between UConn and St. John's in terms of seeding.
Little favoritism there, but the big winning the Big Ten a lot more important than the Big East, I guess you could say. But okay, no more on Queens, right? Just the first ever NCAA appearance here in this one. Next up, Michigan, waiting to see who they will play. That's not true because that's not the right rotation number. I'm going back to my sheet here.
761,
762, Santa Clara and Kentucky. So a lot of fun. There will be 3 WCC teams, and Santa Clara is in as an at-large, and they are in the Midwest region. Where did we come to for this one, Vinny?
Used 4 on the opener, and that's exactly what Tony made it. Alex, you and I liked it about 5.5. So, Kentucky, they've struggled this year. Highest payroll in cuts sounds funny, doesn't it? Highest payroll in Division I.
Well, now that it's
college,
essentially legal, they probably had the highest payroll before it too. Spending so much time in Northern California and Northern Nevada and Northern California, I always kind of liked Santa Clara. Now a little bit further, Herb Sendek, their coach, he is from Penn Hills. I'm from Forest Hills, so he was the next town over, and his dad, Herb Sendek Sr., was my math teacher in college. So kind of a little bit biased. And that's why I used the lower number. And we wound up getting bet on the dog there, too. So we are at 3.5 right now. And it's one of those teams. I'll probably root for them a little bit, just because, like I said, I met Herb Jr. one time and seemed like a nice guy.
No, just from 4 to 3.5 there for that one. Small movement. Okay, keeping it going here, 763, 764. Tennessee State and Iowa State. Ryan, start us off with Tennessee State, who did win their conference tournament.
Yeah, Ohio Valley regular season winner, Ohio Valley conference tournament winner there for Tennessee State. It is their first appearance since 1994. It is their 3rd appearance all time. They are still looking for their first win, and they're another team that's going to have to pull off a big upset in order to get there first.
This, Iowa State shoot the ball as well as just about any team in the country. And again, conference strength for sure. We did have this game. Alex, you liked the game 26. I had it 24. Tony had it 23. Chrissy went right in the middle at 24.
Yeah, we got bet a little bit on the favorite, so we're at 24.5. Nothing major, but a little bit. That's kind of been my team. I was on a podcast about a month or so ago, and the guy asked me, pick somebody outside the obvious 4 number 1 seeds. So I said, well, I kind of like Iowa State. And the guy says, well, you're the second guy to give me Iowa State. Now, they wound up being a 2 seed. It's not that big of a sleeper, but I do think they're a pretty good team, and I think they got a pretty good chance here. By the way, that Arizona State-Iowa State game the other day, and I mentioned it upstairs when we were talking, it's one of the best games I've seen all year. That was a fantastic game.
Iowa State, of course, TJ Otzelberger, which I will say you're right. They can shoot. When in the past, they've been very good defensively, but struggled a little bit. And now I think this is his best team since he's been there. So we'll see. 2 seed here, and should take care of business as a 24.5 point favorite in the first round. All right, we've got 4 more to get through. It is 765, 766, and this is the one we're talking about, St. John's and Northern Iowa. And when I was talking about matchups, I had circled Northern Iowa too, as could be a sleeper here, win a game or 2, another up against the winner of the Big East. So pretty big favorite though. St. John's 11 here in this one, Chris.
Well, Tony made it 11. Vinny was 14. You, Alex, were 13. I went with the 11. We have some two-way action on this game, so we're back to 11. But the original move was on Northern Iowa in this game. It's just a lot of points. But, I know Vinny has met Coach Pitino. I've met Coach Pitino. And, he's nothing but a gentleman to me, And so I've always kind of rooted for him. I met him, got to be close to 30 years ago. But anyway, I've always kind of rooted for him, and always, I'm not Catholic, but I always kind of root for these Catholic schools. My kids wound up going to Catholic high school, but St. John's a great team. I'm kind of, if there's one that I'm rooting for, it'd be St. John's. But anyway, good two-way action on this game, but the original move on the dog, but we are back to 11 with the game.
I could see the move on that, and I know I was high on my number at 14. Alex, you were at 13, and Tony was at 11. Chris went with 11, and I can understand it. Northern Iowa, they don't give up points. They're a very good defensive team. I think they're one of the top. Maybe they might be the top defensive team in the country in terms of points allowed per game, just a little over 60 or so. So, Johnnies like to play physical. Sometimes their free throw shooting is a bit inconsistent. So if the game is close, it could certainly impact the number. But I think from a perception standpoint too, you've got, I think the public is probably going to favor the Johnnies in this particular matchup. And by the way, this game is in San Diego too, right? So, but I think the Johnnies are not in the West region, right? I don't think
they're in the East region, right?
That's what I'm saying. But this started a few years ago. I don't understand the travel of some of the scheduling. But
listen, call Mike Rispoli. Tell me what the private plane that head you down there.
There you go. Fly with the ponies.
Vinny, I'm with you. Mine was a little bit higher too, and I got a ticket on St. John's to win it all. But I do like this Northern Iowa team as well. When Ryan tells you, just keep in mind when he tells you about some of their NCAA tournament appearances, and it's the same coach because Ben Jacobson has been there since 2006. So, Ryan, what do you think about this team? And they are 3rd in the nation in minutes continuity. So they brought a lot of guys back, and they're going to try and make a little run here.
Well, for some reason, they just did not take some regular season games seriously because they were the 6th seed in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. So they are technically a bid stealer. Belmont was supposed to win that conference. They were the 6th seed there. So their last appearance was in 2016. That was their last win. They are 5-8 all time. They beat 6th seed Texas back in 2016.
That is correct. Yeah.
Couple injuries to watch for there too, to see if they get a couple of guys back. Dubravchik, I think if I said that correctly, and Corbat. So they were kind of questionable and weren't 100% for their conference tournament.
Keeping it right there. This is the East region, but we'll be playing in San Diego on Friday as well. And then it's Cal Baptist and Kansas. Cal Baptist with a nice little win yesterday, Ryan, to get into the big dance.
Yeah, their first ever appearance here in the NCAA tournament, as they are champions of the WAC. They were the 2 seed in that conference. They took down UVU, who was also dealing with some drama from the WAC. That conference only had 7 teams, so teams played each other 3 times this year, excluding the conference tournament. So, but Cal Baptist, your representative, making their first overall appearance in the NCAA tournament from being the WAC champions.
Kansas, a tougher team to handicap because sometimes they can look like the best team in the country, and
well, it depends on Peterson, right?
And a lot depends on Darren Peterson. Yeah,
which Darren Peterson shows up. I mean, there are a lot of folks that think this young man, and understandably so, with his talent, he's going to be the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. This spring. So they kind of go as he goes. Although they were impressive when he wasn't in the lineup too. So Bill Self does a great job coaching this game. Chris opened it a little bit lower. I can understand it because you just don't know about what Kansas is going to do. So he used your number, Alex, of 14. Tony and I were a bit higher at 15 and 16.
I follow Kansas a little bit. My grandson, his father is a Kansas grad, so he has all the Jayhawk stuff. So I watched them a little bit. And they were terribly inconsistent this year, with Peterson or without. I mean, you're right. They looked fantastic a couple of days. And, I think Self is certainly one of the best coaches in college basketball right now. I don't have a lot of confidence in them right now. So, Alex, I did go with your number at 14. Another game, we got 2-way action. I'm not sure we moved this number or not. I don't think we did. We might have. But I'm looking at my charts here. It's a good 2-way action on this one. So I think this will be a good game. I don't know anything about California Baptist. So I guess they're from California. That's about as far as Baptist school? And they're probably a Baptist school, and that's about as far as I could go.
Well, good to hear. Already 2-way action and still sitting there at that 14.
They don't have to travel very far. They're the only California school there in San Diego.
There you go. Yep.
2 more to get to here. Let's go to Arizona, the 1 seed of the West. So this is a 116 matchup here, and it will be against the Long Island Sharks that pulled it off, won the NEC, and played all their guys for the championship game, even though they didn't have to. So big favorite, again, Vinny, as expected, for this 1 seed.
I think this is our biggest number, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
At 31 on the opener, Alex, you and I were a bit higher at 33. I mean, Arizona, the way they get up and down the court, and they can push the pace here. So, I mean, obviously, it's a big number. This harkens back to years ago where the 1s and the 2s were anywhere from 28. And higher. Yeah. So but this one is the highest one here. 31 on the opener, Chris.
We opened 31. The first bet was on the dog. So went down to 30.5. We haven't moved it back yet, but that's another one. As soon as I go upstairs, I'm moving this one. I should have listened to your number a little bit more. But we did get bet on the dog a little bit. But I see it now. 31 is definitely the market low. I see 31.5 and 32. Boy, I tell you, gun to my head right now, I'd probably take Arizona to win the whole tournament. I think they're just playing terrific ball. And, they start out in California, not a huge travel for them. And I think they'll have plenty of fans and support, no matter who they play in that second. They'll win this one, but they'll have a lot of support in that second game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ryan, anything on the Sharks?
Did want to point out this tip-off is at 10:35 a.m. local in San Diego. So it'll be an early morning for both of these teams. Long Island, obviously, coming from the other side of the country and getting to play at 10:30 a.m. Well, I guess it's really 1 for them. But anyway, early game for them. They are making their first appearance in the tournament since 2018. They are looking for their first win here in the tournament. They are 0-7 all-time. 3 of those losses were also in the play-in. So they are in the field of 64, but they're going to have to pull off the biggest upset on the board, catching 30 here.
I did watch their whole game against Mercyhurst, and it was a fun, exciting game. They had a couple guys that could take over for a little bit, but I mean, that's a tough task going up against the Wildcats, who even you guys, when I asked who's number 1 in the country, everybody said, I think Arizona has the least amount of flaws as of right now and least amount of hiccups.
I would say that's them and Duke. I mean, when Duke's at 100%.
If Duke was healthy, I'd probably go with Duke.
I'd go with Duke a little bit, but Arizona. This is the best Arizona team in a long time.
They
under Tommy Lloyd's tenure, I think.
Yeah, they had such a great run 20 years ago, but they haven't made a Final Four in a long, long time. I don't know if Ryan has it right there, but remember they were like when Lou Olson was there, they were in the Final Four quite often, but they haven't been there for a while. Ryan, what do you have?
Well, so I have they've made 5 consecutive NCAA tournaments. They've advanced to the Sweet 16 in 3 of them, but have not made it past the Sweet 16 in any of those. Yeah. Let me see if I can find the last Final Four.
Yeah, remember, like I said, they were perennially, certainly is a huge favorite to make it to the Final Four, and oftentimes did make it.
2001.
No, is that right?
Wow.
That's a long
than
time.
I thought.
Long drought.
That's a long time.
For that
I knew it
program.
was a wow. I didn't realize it was 25 years. Jeez.
Twice in the 90, 87, 88, 93, 94, 96, 97, and then 2000, 2001.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yep. All right. Last but not least, 771, 772 here in the West, in Mountain West, their only team that will be representing. They are a one bid league this year. Utah State taking on Villanova. Ryan, Utah State did find a way. We thought Mountain West was wide open, but I think the best team did win. Anything for them tournament-wise?
They are in their 4th straight conference or NCAA tournament appearance, but they are just 7-27 all time. So they've really struggled to get anything going here in March Madness.
And last year, I wrote it down somewhere. They lost by 20 in their very first matchup
To UCLA, yeah.
to UCLA. It was pretty ugly. 72-47 actually was. So they're looking to have a bounce back spot.
This is a good matchup. I think this is a good game, at least on paper. Now it's interesting because we all had. Well, Tony had the game Pick'em actually, and Alex, you had the game Villanova 2. I made Villanova 1. And Chris went with another hunch. Utah State 1. I think this game is going to get a lot of business.
It's up to Utah State 3. We're Utah State 2. We did get bet on Utah State. I mentioned before, I kind of like root for a lot of the Catholic teams. When I grew up in Pittsburgh, just to be a contrarian, most of my friends were Pitt fans. I was a Duquesne fan. Well, they played a lot of the Catholic teams. So I remember it was like Pitt on Saturdays would play the public schools, great schools. I mean, in Kansas and all kind of, but Sundays we'd go to the Duquesne games and they played a lot of the Catholic schools, including Villanova quite often. So I always kind of rooted for them a little bit. But Utah State's getting the money in this one. And who was the Utah State? I spent a lot of time in Reno too. Stu Morrill was the coach at Utah State. Did a pretty good job there, but never really got him up to that next level. He's retired now, but Utah State, pretty good basketball program over the years.
Yeah, it's been Jared Cahoon now the last 2 years and has done a good job. This should be a very good matchup here between these two. From 1999 to 2015. He was there for a long time. Okay, and what seed matchup is that one? Utah State and Villanova?
Is that an 8-9?
That's a
8-9.
Yes.
8-9,
Yeah.
So the winner there will play Arizona, I believe.
Yes.
Is that correct? Yeah,
that
that's
is
going to
correct.
be tough.
They get
Wow.
But like I said, they're both. I kind of, sort of like Villanova a little bit, but those are tough Philly kids, But Utah State, the money's showing on them, so obviously some people think fairly highly of Utah State.
shoot the ball well.
Yeah, definitely, and played good physical brand of basketball. All right, awesome. Any moves since we've been on? Like going back to the top of the list?
And see.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Okay. I think Ryan's checking the board to see if he can see anything from his side, but thank you guys. Appreciate you jumping on with us and doing this live show for the tournament. So playing games Tuesday, Wednesday, And then the craziness this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
And again, everything here at South Point, great. So free parking, obviously. The wherever you choose to watch the games, whether it's the event center, the sports book, obviously, and the various lounges, everything will be. There's no charge to get in. A lot of good specials, Chris, and prizes given away. By the way, free throw shooting for beers, which has become extremely popular. It's pretty funny watching folks up there on the free throw line, and it's a lot of fun. Betting stations throughout, and anywhere that the games are being shown upstairs in the event center. There'll be kiosks and tellers as well.
Another one, I said, well, 10 betting stations, in the party, 10 betting stations, 6 kids. Well, that doesn't sound very many. Yeah, we have 12 downstairs, too, okay? I didn't include those.
There's always somebody.
Yeah, I mean, it's all, Twitter.
Yeah.
Anyway.
First to 15, you'll have those bets.
We'll have all kind of, like Vinny said, we'll have all kind of, we'll have props, we'll have all kind of, the first to 15 is just hilarious.
Love it.
That's fantastic. And I said it in a meeting one time, and I'll repeat it here because Michael Glenn loved it. He was asking me about, paying. I says, listen, park your car or park your ass. It's the same price, 0.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it, definitely. So should be a really fun week, a really fun month, all the way till we get to the championship here, getting through the bracket. Ryan, anything else? We'll be back tomorrow, normal time, 10 a.m.
Yeah, 10 a.m. for Sports by the Book, Monday through Friday. Did want to mention our ticker trivia presented by City Light Shine, available at Lee's Discount Liquor, Total Wine, and here at the South Point Hotel and Casino. It was a NCAA tournament question for you. In the entire history of both the men's and women's NCAA tournament, who is the only player that has won the coveted Most Outstanding Player Award 4 times? Any guesses from the desk?
4 times.
4
Sue
times.
Bird.
It's not Sue Bird, but it was a female player.
Oh, it's got somebody from
Diana Taurasi.
UConn?
It is a UConn player.
Yeah.
Not Diana Taurasi?
Not Diana Taurasi.
Oh, it's
Rebecca Lobo.
She currently plays for, I'm going to get the team wrong. She plays in the WNBA, I can tell you that for sure. It's Brianna Stewart, representing the Connecticut Huskies
very good.
Another
from
great
2013 to 2016. And
Boy, that's a while ago.
winning every single Most Outstanding Player award from 2013 to 2016. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did it 3 times for the Bruins from 67 to 69.
Couldn't play as a freshman.
Yeah, freshmen weren't eligible then.
Right.
Yeah.
So JR did spot our ticket trivia presented by City Light Shine with the answer of Brianna
All right.
Stewart for a 4-time
Excellent.
Most Outstanding Player.
Good job. Good
Very
question.
good. Yeah, great question. Of
Yeah.
course, with the Liberty now in the
Okay.
WNBA.
I gotta
Okay,
go take
let's
care
get
of
you guys
business.
out of here. You guys got to get back
All
to
right.
work. Thank
Very
you, everybody,
Good job, everybody.
for watching.
We did also have a poll
Okay.
talking
We
today.
can let them sneak out.
We so looking at the fan favorite 12-5 upset, we wanted to know your guys' thoughts on which 12 will take down to 5. So we gave you Akron against Texas Tech, McNeese against Vandy, High Point against Wisconsin, and Northern Iowa against St. John's. And the chat, 41% of them going with Akron taking down Texas Tech.
Yeah. Might be a little bit vulnerable. Yeah. Coming into this tournament. Thank you, guys. Whoever's stepping in throughout the week, we'll see you on Sports by the Book. Okay. And thank you to everybody who is watching us on YouTube. Again, next 5 days, we will be here, same time, 10 a.m. Pacific time, live from Las Vegas, live from the South Point. All right. Ryan, anything else?
No, just make sure you turn in throughout the week. We'll have all the props and everything that we have available here at the South Point to get you guys excited for the games and get you more action involved in these games that will be taking place. It's one of the best times of the year, so you're gonna have to make sure that you watch this week. We have Matt and Everett on Tuesday as well, so hopefully gonna keep giving you winners throughout the week.
Yes, and we'll have some more guests throughout the week. Looking forward to diving in and really breaking down all of these games with everybody here on Sports by the Book. So thank you so much for joining us for our Sunday special. Thank you to the crew working very hard here on the weekends, and Jerry, Sean, Vince, and Andrew. Make sure that this could happen. Ryan, of course, too, who has been here since noon, getting ready for the show. So thank you, everybody. For Ryan McCormick, I'm Alex White. This is Sports by the Book. We'll see you again tomorrow, 10 a.m.